Hi, I'm Dahlia, freelance editor and aspiring author, and today I'm here to help you create the history of your world. Before we get into the juicy details, let's answer the question, what is history? The history of the world encompasses everything from conception until the modern day, but to keep this video under an hour, under a year, let's go through some details. There are four main factors that you want to consider. Number one, the evolution or revolution of the events in your world or your city or your town or your people. Number two, historical people and conflicts. Number three, flags and landmarks. And number four, and my favorite topic, folklore. With this being said, it stands to reason that the history of your world can be as simple or as detailed as you wish it to be. This does also depend on the genre that you're writing in. Obviously, some genres will be higher in the creation of the world than other genres. As an example, let's look at our world. There are many different opinions as to how the world and the universe formed, from the Big Bang to God. Because this decides the rest of your history, it is a great place to start. Knowing how your world was formed can give you insight into the people inhabiting Earth, or your planet, or your solar system. Despite the fact that each different culture and civilization throughout history will probably have different viewpoints as to how the world was formed, this doesn't mean that you have to look into what every single culture throughout history thought. Because really, how relevant are those other cultures to the culture of the modern day in your story? As we have seen throughout our history, the topic of the creation of the world and the solar system has caused much strife. Wars have been fought, won, and lost over the topic. So as you can see, this already causes conflict with your people and between your people before you have even possibly created your people. And if you feel so inclined, you can always create your own creation myth. This is what I did for the Acro Contessa, and it was thoroughly enjoyable. So once you've nailed down your world's history, including the solar system if you're writing a First Encounters or a science fiction novel, it's time to focus on the people. Without people or creatures in your world, your story probably wouldn't exist. So being that they are the epicenter, there are a few things to consider. 1. How did they come to be? 2. How have they evolved? And 3. How have they evolved the world around them? Theoretically, you should know how your people were created if you have gone back to decide how the earth was created, because they kind of tie in hand to hand. So if you've created a pantheon of gods, which god or gods created your people? The other important thing to consider is, what do the people think? Just like with our world, the people of your world may not know exactly how the world was created. The cool thing about humans is that we tend to formulate opinions based on evidence that we have seen for things that we cannot comprehend. So because your people may not be privy to this information, how does this affect their day-to-day life and the world around them? So after humans exist for a certain period of time, they start to evolve or revolutionize the world around them. The term evolution refers to something new being created from an old concept. Telephones and smartphones are a great example of this. A revolution means to make something entirely new. It is a revolution to the world. It can also be a reversal of something that has already been known or created. Let's look at the flat earth theory for this topic. Hundreds of years ago, everyone thought that the world was flat. They thought that the solar system revolved around the world. We now know that the world revolves around the sun, and we are in fact living on a round earth. However, some people have brought this theory back of a flat earth, and so they are changing what everyone thought based on certain evidence that they think that they've procured. As you can probably expect, evolutions and revolutions can be great for the world, but they can also cause a lot of problems. This is another reason why your people may have conflict. So it is only natural now that we segue into war. Since the dawn of time, people have fought. Whether this be wars, battles, or generally domestic arguments, we as a people thrive on negative energy. War can be great for the victor. They could gain land, they could slay a very powerful enemy, they could simply win an argument. But no battle is fought without scars. This topic will be discussed at a greater length later, but it is a good thing to start thinking about now. Because how have the wars or the battles affected your people? How have they improved them or obstructed them? And how has war progressed the land and the people, or regressed the land and the people? By the same token, who were the villains and the heroes of the land? People again have differing opinions, so what is the truth and what do people believe? I'll use Vlad Dracul, better known as Vlad the Impaler, as an example. Despite the horrific things that Vlad was said to have done, a lot of his people respected him because he took care of them. Because of how well they were treated, they could overlook his evil deeds and respect him and appreciate him and wish that he would live forever so that he could continue to rule their country. We see the negative opinions from those who were not treated well. Always remember that it is not as simple as it seems. Villains could be good and heroes could be bad. It all depends on the perception of your people. The perception of your people is important because it gets carried down in stories passed through the generations. Traditions tend to come about by force of habit and they change the ever-changing world. Once upon a time, it was customary in Europe for a strangely dressed person to enter your home and punish your children, mostly by the form of a thin stick. Thankfully today, as far as I know, Belsnickel does not come into any more homes to punish children with sticks. Unfortunately, despite losing some of the poorer traditions in our history, we're also losing some of the good traditions, which tend to become our morals and our ideals as a culture. This means we also lose the memories of the past. While our written history only dates back a few thousand years, we don't know everything. Many sides have been skewed because of the victor and the victim. I'm looking at you, Herodotus. So in order to teach the younger generations and to allow them to remember, we erect landmarks and holy sites. These physical stations act as a remembrance or potentially a place where people go to pray or to relive memories. So it stands to reason that landmarks should be in your story because they help with setting scene, time and place. Arguably, holy sites may be more important than landmarks. Because religion is such a big, hot topic in our world and has been throughout our history, this is why holy sites may arguably be more important because people may hold them dearer than general landmarks. So if religions in your story exist and you have differing religions and they have greatly impacted history and the world, then it stands to reason that your people would also have holy sites. Holy sites can literally be anything you want. They could be statues for gods and goddesses, they could be a spindle that follows the sun, they could be a circular set of stones in order to escape into another world. Landmarks and holy sites give something real to the folklore that gets passed on through the generations. Creating folklore is possibly one of my favorite things about creating a world, and I'll tell you why. Number one, you create every single element. This means that you can tell your people and your readers when it was created, why it was created, where it came from, what is believed now, how it has changed over time, and really what truth was in there from the start. Number two, it gives reality to your story. It makes the reader feel like the story and the people and the history existed before they came upon this small portion that they're reading right now. Number three, Earth has an amazing abundance of folklore. And honestly, once you start reading folklore, you kind of can't stop. It's fascinating to see what people thought of the world around them and also them and their past and their entire universe as history went on. This book is one of the coolest books that I own. It's called The Law of the Land and it's a guide to England's legends. This incredible book is filled with all the different sorts of legends from all around England. So as you can see throughout history, the recorded legends are in this book. This book doesn't even contain the folklore that has been dead and gone because of previous generations not being able to pass the stories on. And number four, folklore can be passed on in any fashion. You don't have to just talk it, you could sing it, it could be interpretive dance, it could be theatrical. How do your people share their wonderful stories with other people? So I bet you can see how this topic balloons quickly, and I'm trying to keep it as brief as I can. Another way that we keep traditions alive is we celebrate. I have a whole video about celebrations and it's linked in the description bar below, but I will give you a brief description here. Celebrations are normally shared when a prominent figure, not a villain or a hero, has done something great. but in a small, significant way. This could be something as simple as a child who saved their sibling from drowning, a dog that saved a baby from a burning house, or even the man who swam across the bay for a world record. So while celebrations can be really big things for marriage and things like that, they can also be very useful for smaller, significant things. If in your world there is a town where a woman built a shack that everyone goes to have a drink at, or they go there to commemorate her life and her accomplishments building said shack, they might celebrate her life annually just by going there to have a couple drinks. As you can probably tell, celebrations normally come at a specific time. This means we need to track some time. Time controls every single moment of our life, from birth to death. We even set alarms to track time. And this is not a new concept. From the beginning of the world, we have tracked seasons, daylight hours, nighttime, etc. Ancient people even tracked their end of days. Because the concept of time can be overwhelming, we created calendars. Many couples have no interest in getting married in winter because it's probably going to rain. We plant our seasonal crops around the seasons so that we can have a plentiful harvest. We plan schooling, we plan work, we plan trips, holidays, everything. We even plan when our diets start. It's always Mondays, guys, come on. Everything revolves around this topic, so how do your people track time? Alright guys, so that concludes this topic. If you stuck with me to the end, good on you. That means you might just have the patience to create a world. If you want to know more about me, my life, my books, or my services, check the links in the description bar below. Sign up to my newsletter in order to receive discounts or hear what I'm doing with my books and when I'm publishing them, and also when I've posted things like YouTube and blog posts. If you have a question, please comment below. If you want to see more editing and writing related videos, remember to subscribe and hit that little bell. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.